This is an interesting case in regards to the diabetic population. With the diabetes, they get something called a Charcot arthropathy, and there are different stages, which I will go over as well, and different locations in regards to the foot and ankle. This is as you guys can see, the ankle bone is abutting and touching the heel bone when it should be spaced apart, and this bone, which we are looking at, should be in between them. Obviously, it's dislocated, collapsed, and it's a problem. So Charcot diabetic arthropathy, it is obviously common in the diabetic population due to neurovascular abnormalities. There are two theories from the German theory versus the French theory. Nonetheless, there is an overwhelming of blood flow due to the neuropathy, the insensation that piggybacks along the blood vessels, an excessive perfusion, which is blood flow into the area, and there is a weakening to the structures of the joints as well as the bone and collapse, as we can see. The locations typically are along the midfoot region. In this situation, it is not as common as the midfoot. It is called the ankle region. So again, the 5 locations would be ankle, which would be along the ankle joint, as we are looking as such. And there is the heel. There is the mid-tarsal joint, which is across this region. And then there is also the tarsal metatarsal, which is also very, very common. And then there's the lesser metatarsal phalangeal joints. Those are the locations along the foot in the diabetic Charcot arthropathy, and there are three different stages. Now, when we're looking at it, obviously, clearly we see a big cloud. That's inflammation. Some people look at it and they assume, providers that is, assume that is a infection. It resembles an infection, but it's not. Very swollen, red, angry, warm. The pulses are intact. In this situation, you really want to address the pulses fairly quickly to make sure that they're not hindered. But nonetheless, the first stage, it is obviously the inflammatory. It's like a grenade. All the bones start to shard and to become pieces. So that is the acute stage, which we have to address with immobilization and prevent weight-bearing status in regards to versus you can give them in a cast, a walking cast versus a cam walker. There's multiple facets in regards to the acute stage. That then becomes hopefully coalesced, and the bone starts to kind of ease the inflammation, and then becomes the third stage, which is the remodeling stage. So those are stages typically you want them to become in the remodeling stage and address them properly. So in this situation, you want it to settle down, and then you want to address the deformity. In this specific categorization, he would be more likely fusing the tibia, which is this ankle bone, to the heel bone. Again, further studies could be warranted as well in regards to CAT scans and other radiographs in regards to see the integrity of the calcaneus, which is the heel bone. Various hardware can be used. An IM rod, intermedullary rod is phenomenal in this case. I've seen people as well use Steinman pins, which are thicker K-wires, can be used as well. You can use different variations of internal versus external hardware. And lastly, there is external hardware such as the Elizarov technique, which is a frame that is placed on the outside. And if that is the case, ideally we would like to align everything back into play, but a fusion would be entailed, meaning the tibia would be fused to the talus and the talus would be fused to the calcaneus. So therefore, a subtalar joint would be fused. The ankle joint, which is a hinge joint, will be fused, as well as the talar navicular, which is that little ball and socket. So would be a triple arthrodesis, including the calcaneocuboid and the subtalar joint. And so they call all 4 joints as a pan talar fusion. They call it pan-talar because it involves all facets, all areas of the talus. So that's why they call it pan-talar. Talar is the talus. And so anyway, this is an interesting case for people who have diabetes. Do understand for every action there's a counter-equal reaction. You can lead to a Charcot diabetic foot, and it can involve multiple stages versus locations, as we discussed. So please, very cautiously, if you are a diabetic, making sure your A1C is constantly checked every 3 to 6 months, and the proper medications and the diet and the exercise and the whole thing that you guys are very well aware of between endocrinology and nutrition, as well as pedal examinations by the podiatrist, offloading, proper shoes, proper inserts, and so on. So again, this is a very interesting case. I just wanted to bring it to your attention, to the population that is in the diabetic, and greatly appreciate your time. Thank you. Bye-bye.